We're
We're
live.
live.
We're
Look
live.
at look at this crew in here already. My goodness, we've had people in here for quite a while. I see Don English and Danny Boyd swung by super early, and so did the Slant Daily Garage, just kind of trolling the audience. Auto Salvage Outlaws, Mexican Spec, Wendy English is here. Colleen Tebow is driving but listening. Thank you for listening, Colleen.
Nice.
NSB Custom Cars, checking out the competition. Yeah, we got a lot of that going on. Uh, let's see here. Giray Racing, Ricky Giray. Ricky's planning on giving us something for 28-10-5 this year, I believe. 38 POS Racing, Poor Boys Brad. He's one to watch. Tony's Hot Rod Garage does nothing special. Rob's Rods and Street Cars is here. Bigfoots and Mopars, Bigfoot Mark. It's a beautiful car he has, isn't it? I
Mm-hmm.
know it's a good looking car, but then when I see it in video, I just forget how good looking that thing is. Andrew Nelson is here. Glad you could make it. Pure Pontiac Garage. My mom's in the house. Justin Hill. Hey, the boss is here.
The Creamy
Shop
Beaver's here.
209. All right. Well, cool. Thank you guys for turning out. So Punisher Le Mans Ray will be here shortly, and probably a little bit later in the show too. We're going to have Redbeard 710 Daniel. He'll be in here. He's defending class champion.
Nice.
But we just want to talk 28-10-5. So 2 Fridays ago, we had guys to talk about the bracket and the bounties on Joe and all of the stuff surrounding the bracket race on Friday at the No Name Nationals. And today, we're going to talk about all the cool stuff going on Saturday in the small tire race at the No Name Nationals.
So it's just a 1 day race then. It's on Saturday.
It's just Saturday. Of course, you can call anybody out. I mean, any car can run on any day. You can have
Yeah.
call outs, grudge races, match races, whatever you want to do. But the 28-10-5 is just Saturday.
Okay.
I see L&A Auto Works, Irish Outlaw, Dust Devil, Greg McDonald all here. Stan Nelson. Stan's asking, how big is the bounty on Just Mopar Joe? Does he get it if he wins? He does get a payout if he wins.
Mm-hmm.
Professor P, you should tell Stan about that.
Yeah. I'm always rooting for the guy to keep on winning, and I like Mopar Joe. So, yeah, I have it. If he wins, it's $200. So, and then next year, if he wins again, it's 300, and he wins again next year, it's 400. So each year he wins in a row, he gets 100. But then after that, if he loses 1 year, it ends.
So the bounty on Joe, it's up to 150 by Cope Racing Transmissions, depending on whether or not you're running his sticker and running his parts.
Yep.
And then Slant Daily Garage is a $160 bounty. Mm-hmm. And I believe Speed Oasis has put 100 in on that as well. So you can win close to $500 just for being the first person to take out Joe in the bracket race, the No Name Nationals.
But you have to have my sticker on your
That's
car
right.
going down the track to win, not afterwards.
That's right. You must have Slant Daily. You got to be representing.
That's right.
Same with Cope to get the full payout.
And we're gonna have free stickers at our booth. So just come on by.
Yep. Shop 209. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday. I think that'll be cool. And so Saturday will not be the bracket, but Saturday you can do the heads up if you want to. You can have a maximum of 28 by 10.5 inch rear tire.
No W's.
And but yeah, you can do Saturday, and you can also, regardless of tire or car, you can also do call outs. You can do, grudge racing, test and tune, anything else on Saturday.
Hey John, is it just a 28-10-50 and it's a no W class?
No W.
Then? Okay,
because
just want to
W
make
is
sure.
a whole different deal.
Yeah. Now, are you going to allow stiff walls?
I don't care.
Okay, as long as it's not a W. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. You can run a 275 60 15 100,000 mile Michelin if you want to.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, Shop 209's got a 28 by 9. Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the 28-10-5 race is a $100 buy-in, but it also has a bigger purse than the bracket. $1,500 to win, $500 to runner up. So it's a $100 bill to buy in. And that's just due at the driver's meeting. Jure's got a 26-inch tire. You got plenty of room to grow there in that Duster, though. Redbeard is trying to come in. I see him at the bottom of the screen. Ray is here. We're going to add him. Give their devices a second to. There's Punisher Ray.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Oh, I was just finishing up dinner.
Elizabeth Polito says we'll be offering Slant Daily Garage shirts for a special no-name nationals price. So
Yep.
Get your Slant Daily threads at the show. So Redbeard he's trying to come into studio. I don't know if it's low signal or what, but he's trying to get in. When he gets in, we'll let him in. But I'm glad you two guys are here because tonight, and for those just drifting in, we want to basically 2 weeks ago, we had a live discussing the bracket at the No Name Nationals and the bounty on Joe and that sort of thing, the Red Light Ricky Award, bracket racing in general. And tonight will be the Saturday. We're talking about the 28-10-5. It's a tire limited heads-up instant green class. And I figured I would have some of you guys on.
Yeah, awesome.
Smoke Rich is saying it sounds like you need a rocket to win that 28-10-5. You have to show up. I mean, that's a thing.
And cars
you do
break.
require real steel roof and quarters. Last year, I think Redbeard ran a 551 to win it. But you never know. It's instant green. Things break. You never know.
Instant green is a definite level playing field. That's what gives us a little bit of a chance if we're running even a 570 or even a 580. You can make that up with an instant green.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you set it to light for just a second, it's done.
Yeah, it's all over with.
And we saw a lot of that last year. Instant green, it purposefully messes with people's rhythm when they're used to a pro or a sportsman tree. It's different from both. It puts it in the hands of the driver. It makes people drive their stuff. And it's no electronics too, so we want people to drive their cars, right?
Yeah.
So when you say no electronics, does that mean no trans brake?
You can run a trans brake, but you can't run a delay box. You can't.
Okay.
That stuff that's designed to negate the driver.
Yeah.
No delay box.
There's people now that actually have like little cameras to sense the LED lights. So when it's instant green and it releases for you, for real, that's out there.
Why bother?
Exactly. You're a foot.
I mean, why bother?
You're not even really a foot. You're not even shifting the gears. You're just going.
Right. Enough of that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I see Blake is in here. Rabbit Transit J, Dizzy Izzy, Track and Travel with Rick, Buff.
Nice.
Glad all you guys are in here.
That's why I've never been a fan of bracket racing, man. I've never understood building a fast car to not go fast.
Right? I like this guy already.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, build a 9-second car to go 1050s. And I mean, honestly, to me, those bracket cars, they got an electric or air shifter, air throttle. Basically, you're letting off the button and hanging on till the end of the track. I'm not saying the guys can't drive because you got to be able to cut a light. What I'm saying is I think it takes a lot of the talent out of driving the car.
I agree.
Yeah. Build a 9-second transmission Punisher. Well, that's a good segue. So, Ray, tell us more about what you've done with your Punisher Le Mans. And if you want to remind folks who might not have followed what happened last year, you can tell us about the off season and how you've gotten to where you are.
So last year I had the AHRA 5.5-speed. It came out of Colorado, and anybody there heard it. It was very nasty when it broke. This year, me and guy from Baxter Springs runs a transmission shop. We built a killer TH400. I mean, it's full of billet goodies. It has a billet valve body with a trans brake. I mean, and I got a FTI spragless converter. This thing, it's a 1,000 horse transmission easy. So transmission, rear end is not going to be an issue. They're both built. So my dumb ass will be the only thing that, kills me. Figuratively, so not really.
Yeah.
How much testing do you think you'll be able to get in?
Man, I'm hoping to make it to the track at least twice. I'm running out of time.
You still have 40 days and 3 hours and 48 and a half minutes.
Yeah, but man, it feels like we was just at No Name last year. So I'm like scrambling now. I'm like, holy crap.
The time ticks by quickly. Redbeard, I'm glad you got in here, man. It looks like you were fighting technology for a minute there, but you're here.
Well, I'm on my phone now because it won't work on my laptop. So I'm trying to get the stupid laptop to go to your channel so I can see comments.
Okay.
And this is my phone holder, this little chair. So
Awesome.
You're here, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. So for those of you, because we do have some new folks and some familiar faces too. Redbeard brought a hammer to No Name Nationals last year. I think he ran a 5:51 for the low ET. Yeah, I mean, and I think your very first pass ever on 28-10-5s was right there on Saturday.
Yeah, that was my first time.
I remember coming up in the lanes of sticker tires.
Yep. Well, we went out there and that was kind of that whole night. I was expecting to go to that little bar there. They had the racetrack, looked like a lot of fun and this and that. And it's my dad and I's first time ever changing V-locks for the first time. It took a little longer than we thought it would. And we were worn out by the time we got the 28-10-5s on there. So we just went to the hotel, went to bed and stuff. But no, that was my very first time on 28-10-5s, which I had 29-10-5s. And there is a difference, believe it or not, on traction, but it was fun. I mean, let's say like the first time that video, if anyone there watched my video of it doing a wheelie going across the bumper, that was my very first pass on 28-10-5 or 29-10-5s. And I had my wheelie bars tied up with a bungee strap. I didn't think it was going to hook. Next thing I know, I drugged the bumper. And so that's what got me hooked, to be honest with you guys. It's funny how that all worked out. I always ran. Venom's actually a big tire car. Like it's good. It will fit a 34.5, 16.5W, 16 tire on it.
Wow.
And believe it or not, when I put the small tires on it, that was my fastest pass ever made in Venom. So it worked out for us because I didn't know that, but my converter was too loose for the big tires. Like I was losing so much power. We were in the big tires because I was blowing through the converter with so much rotating mass, weight, and this and that. So anyone that's running big tires now, if they can get a set of 20, set of small tires just to try out on a track, I bet they go faster and enjoy it. So, but that's just something. Anyways, so what have I missed?
Well, I'll tell you, we've just been talking a little bit we were talking about Ray's combination and taking a few just questions here in general. Blake is talking about the 727 they're building for his car. So lots of interesting thrashing going on in the last 41 days here. But and Blown Budget Garage, thank you much for the super chat. I appreciate it. He is I think he has code there for Blown Budget Garage is greater than MMM. So he's spending ad dollars to throw shade on his call out. I like that.
That's not it.
So Redbeard, what does it look like for this year? I know that you're coming down to the wire with fabrication and stuff. You want to talk about it?
Sure. So, all right. So, all right. Well, let's put it this way. I'm lazy in one way. So at No Name Nationals last year, I had some oil. I had some metal in my oil, I noticed, and stuff. And that's why I was starting pulling myself back to the track. I was worried about it failing. Well, anyways, I took it apart. I found out a broken valve spring. Okay, that's what I thought was wrong. And so that's all I replaced. And then right before race season, I decided, this is when I say race season, May, I decided to take my oil pan off and just check my bearings. They all look great. And I happened to look up on it, and I see a lifter. My camshaft's getting ate away by a lifter. And so the thing about the heads I was running were Predator heads on a wedge block, okay? So it takes a Hemi ground cam, but it's same fire as a Hemi. I mean, as a wedge and stuff, but the ground's different. Well, the problem is a Hemi lifter valley is 48 degree. Okay, and I believe 40. I get mixed up. They have different lifter valleys. So I went and called the cam company, Indy. I called everywhere out there, 14 to 16 weeks out for a cam because it's such a weird design and stuff. There's a Hemi cam with a wedge lifter valley, and so it's anyway. Trading my engine off about a month and a half ago so I can make no name nationals, and now I got a 605 Hemi. But the problem is now I'm having trouble getting header tubes in time, and this and that. So I'm doing the struggle bus like everyone else, just trying to get stuff done. But it's just like do stainless steel headers like I want to do one time and done. They're out my guy's helping me build the headers he's telling me he doesn't know when they're coming in. So at this point in time, you guys see the picture he put on there on the intro. That's what my car looks like right now. So it's just
you want me to show them that picture?
Go for it. I can go do a walk around the car if you guys want, but
I got it. Wait, that would be cool actually. But I'll show people that picture. This picture it's got a wow factor to it. Let me go full screen for this so you can really see this thing.
Oh wow!
My super low tech system here.
Here, I'm sorry, camera. See more.
Look at that.
Settings.
I'm surprised. I thought there was going to be a blower or a whole bunch of nitrous, but
they're supposed to be. So,
well, remember this is just mock-up. Things can change.
Yeah.
But that is pretty stout.
I got it on there now. Let's see if it works here. There you go. All right. So what's up? Yeah, good ton rim. Go get it. So anyway, this is what it looks like now. Because let's be honest with you, I have a pro charger supposed to go right here and stuff. There's supposed to be a pro charger going on this. Well, it really wasn't supposed to be this engine. It's supposed to be the other one. It's all wrong. It's too small of a pro charger. Blah blah blah. But this is a pump fuel 605 cubic inches. It's 11.7 to 1. It'll run on 91 octane. It's coated pistons, 4 3/4 stroke crank, 700 rods. And it's a pain in the butt because it's actually a wide pan block. So I don't know if you guys can see that in there or not, but you can't run a regular block on a regular oil pan like this one. See how this is so narrow and stuff? So like if you go under that, if I got under there, you actually put your bolts on through the oil pan. Like they have holes in the oil pan that you go through to put your oil pan bolts on and stuff. So this is what I'm trying to get going. I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, my son's getting it, but it's got a tone rim for it. I got a tone rim with it just in case. So no name nationals. I'm just trying to slap it all together in just to get it going, and hopefully, I mean, this should make a little bit more power than my last one in it. And so you can bring that up. Yeah. Sorry, my garage is messy. But here's the blow through carburetor for it. Those things are huge. If anyone's never seen one of these, it's got 4 floats on it. They are crazy. But anyways, yes, it has 4 floats. It has 4. Yeah, it's 4 floats on it. You get it individual. So it's kind of crazy. But anyways, this is what I'm dealing with now, guys. So I'm hoping, like, if I have to, I'll even run it without a radiator. I'll just run on alcohol and just so I can make it and stuff. I'm doing everything I can to make this, but it just, you think COVID would be done by now. You think parts would be available, and I'm still running the same thing everyone else was 2 years ago. Oh, okay. And I think these companies are just using those excuses now and stuff because I don't know. Yeah, that's what my project is. If anyone wants to buy another big block, I got one for sale. So,
Professor P, just in general, do you want to weigh in on parts and supply chain and this kind, just in general? I mean, nothing necessarily specific, but what are you seeing in that world?
Well, basically, what it is, it's not necessarily the parts anymore. It's just getting the raw materials. That's the problem. Is because there's a trickle down effect. We had all these stockpiles of raw materials. Now, then when all those parts got sold off, people were coming back to work. And we had a little stockpile of stuff. We were building them, and then now all of a sudden we've ran out of everything, and it's just getting the raw materials right now. That seems to be the issue, but we, as far as Edelbrock, we're really caught up and we're moving along. So things are going out the door fast now.
Andrew Nelson says they're waiting on parts for October. I mean, they just, they're waiting on stuff way into the future like that.
Yeah.
And I will say in general, I try to mention this every now and then. Man, you guys that need parts, no matter what you're running, if you want to have your stuff running on September 21st, man, you got to get on the wheel early and get those parts ordered.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
like February, you're late. You're late by 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's going.
That's what I ran into on my trans brake. I wanted a trans brake with second gear leave for the turbo car, but the one I wanted, they was like into 24. And I was like, man, I can't wait that long. So I ended up just, finding what I could. It's an FTI body. I mean, it's quality, but it's not what I wanted. So I kind of had to settle. But I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm just getting my rear end, I think Tuesday. So I put the car on hold because I'm like, well, I can't really drive it without a rear end. I have an 8 3/4 in there, and anything I put any juice to that, it's going to blow it right out. So I got a Ford 9-inch, and I've just been waiting on that for months and months.
So, Professor P, for those who, I know your regulars on Wednesday Night Tech Talk are going to be familiar a little bit with your combination, but
Sure.
for the people here who are a little bit different audience, you want to tell them a little bit about what you're running and what you're planning to bring to the 28-10-5 class.
Sure. Yeah, I don't hide anything. I don't care because it is what it is. It's a 1966 Dodge Dart. It was kind of like the family race car. Used to street race it. It was actually my wife's daily driver for a while there. And then when we were kind of dating-ish, she would go all day to school. And then on Fridays, we would change the carburetor, tune it up, and we'd go out and street race it all weekend. And she'd come back and I'd change the carburetor and she'd go back to school. So that's basically where it started. Now it's a small block Mopar. It's a 408. The car runs in the 6.0s, 6.10s without juice on it because it's at that time, the class I was running, I was doing a lot of heads-up racing. There was a lot of people right around that 6.0, 6.10, 6.20 class. And in California, we have altitude, which doesn't matter here. But, if I was down at, like, say, at Famoso or Fontana, it would be like in the 6.0s and the high 6.10s. When you get up on the hill above 2,500 foot, it was down the 6.20, 6.30s. And I'm going to put, I got a induction solution nitro system I'm going to put on there, and I messed around with nitros a lot back in the day. So and then I changed out the 3-speed. I went to a Glide, and it's it's got a low ratio the ratio is a 1.8 straight cut gear. I obviously work for Autobrock and TCI, so it's got a lot of TCI parts in there, and it's and we made a custom converter for it, and the car weighs just under 3,000 pounds with me in it, so it is what it is.
J. Russell Finch says, blow out an 8 3/4 rear end. Sure it will. Well, you didn't go to a 9-inch for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, I had the 8 3/4's got an aluminum chunk in it, and right now with the 904 that I had in it, I was literally at the limit with the weight and the power and the torque of the engine. It was ready to go. In fact, I would cryo the gears and freeze them, and they would last about 2 seasons, and then after that I would take them out regardless and then just change the gears out, change the bearings, just because I didn't want it just to go kaput, because then you take out your transmission. But
and your engine.
What's that?
And your engine.
Yeah, and your engine. But to cure that, I did get number 1 from John Cope, with the low band apply for first, so that way it applies low band, so if you have any type of problem, it just doesn't make your overrun clutch go to the moon. So
the factory really should have done that on those transmissions. I mean, that absolutely should have been how they designed them.
Well, the problem is because you're going from band to band.
Yeah.
And the timing on that has to be right. So you have to adjust them.
Assembling them.
What's that?
It would take more hand work when they assembled them at the factory
to
get
not
that right,
just
and maintenance.
Maintenance. That's the big thing, is that because the band on the 2 is going to stretch sooner than the band on number 1, because it's a much more rigid and reverse. So that thing's going to want to hold, but then the other one's going to need adjustment. So you're going to have a kind of a delay between the 2 constantly. So you got to stay up on those adjustments. Other than that, yeah, I agree with you. It should have been that way from the factory.
But you're right. And the factory actually, they're getting away from bands. A lot of modern transmissions just don't have bands for that reason.
Yeah, I've been working with the ZF8 HPs quite a bit, and
Yep,
that's
no
clutch to
band.
clutch. Yeah, and it's a really simple transmission. It looks really complicated, but really it's once you take them apart and put them together, it's just modular. It's just little clutch packs. You just stack
That's
them
what
up.
I'm hearing.
Oh, dude, it's really easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Turbo Tom in our community, he's done one. Cope has one he hasn't been into in his daily driver,
Yeah.
and everybody's saying it's pretty straightforward. It's actually a good design. It's not overly complex.
No, the most complicated thing on that is the valve body, and getting the timing correct as far as making sure that your clutches are set. Now the solenoids work in the 3 stages, so basically it's a release and apply, and it senses the other one, and then it applies and releases at the same time. And then depending on the amount of torque that's coming into it, how much it senses, it changes the timing on them. So there's tons of timing tables in those as far as shift patterns and whatnot. There's page after page after page for those for different loads. But other than that, as far as the building of it, super simple.
Yeah, and they're crazy low first gear too. Looks like
Yes.
there's a lot of opportunity. I can see those transmissions having a pretty good application if you can package them for a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, and that way, if you could launch, when you launch them in the Demons, you can do it in first and second gear launch on those. So you don't need to run any gear really. You can run like a 262 gear in it because it's got like a 3 something second
Right.
gear in it. Yeah,
2 overdrives.
yeah, 2 overdrives exactly.
So you guys, I know you all want to win 28 10-5, and all that's predicated upon being there, not breaking. Those cars are more expensive to run. That's why it should pay more to win, right? They're more temperamental. They're harder to tune. It's definitely, that just comes with it, right?
Yeah.
So what's your plans, and this is for any of you, what's your plans to get your car tested and still have it healthy to show up on Saturday?
I'm going to try to test before I even leave and go north. That's my goal, because if I have a problem,
Okay.
then I can fix it.
Survive it and fix it in the pits if you have to.
I mean, it just is what at this point I have an engine that is freshly rebuilt, an untested transmission, but I know it's going to work. It's stuff, a brand new rear end, and then a nitro system that I'm basically just going to have to pull out my notes that are like in a envelope and blow off the dust and go through it and go, yeah, that's the tune I want.
So Daniel, we know that you've got a parts backlog. We know what your situation there is, but ideally, let's say that the parts fairy makes the stuff appear on your doorstep, right?
It'll be Friday night at No Name Nationals.
Yeah.
That's going to be my first test session. See, my biggest problem is like my converter's all wrong. Everything's all wrong. It's just what I got is what I'm gonna run. And if it runs good, it runs good. It is what it is. What you guys see is what you're gonna get. And that is what it is. I mean, this year I had big plans, but the camshaft killed me. I mean, so let's be realistic. My car normally would run about a 520, 530 in those times with the 29 10.5, and I was running 550 at No Name Nationals. It wasn't because of the traction. It wasn't because I was eating the camshaft. I just didn't really pay attention to it. And so you guys, and that's why this 605. My problem is the other one's a 540 is a low stroke, is a 4 4.25 stroke, and now I'm going 4 3/4. The torque is going to be outrageous. I mean, it's already a lot, and now this 8-inch converter I got in there is not probably going to work. But that's why I hope all these guys with street tires get the traction going a little bit, so I don't have to hit it so hard and I can go down the track. On top end, it wasn't that bad, but I can already tell the 605 is going to give me issues. But testing and tuning, you guys will probably be the very first time I test it. It'll be the first time you guys see it as well. So
Cool.
If I get it there, it'll be with you guys at the same time. So
that's cool. You'll show up with two different borrowed headers on one side, no front clip, nothing, but you'll be on
100%. 100%. No, I'll even bring my spare piston just in case we blow it up. We all can
Well,
throw it in there.
Best pit thrash is a thing, right?
It's fun. See, that's what the memories are, guys. I mean, like I say, like I could have fun at the bar, but honestly, that's what people don't realize that haven't been to No Name Nationals. Like I didn't realize it till last year. No one did. But it was just fun. I mean, just being there, thrashing the car with my dad and my son, guys stopping by, helping. Like, dude, when we were getting there were no complaints. This is a complaint, but we were kind of getting hot lapped on that 28-10-5 last year. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but for cars that our caliper run the valves every time, getting it cooled down.
Yeah.
I mean, let me tell you something. It took, it wasn't for people, literally. People I've never met a day in my life showed up. One guy was actually a mechanic, and he was actually cranking the motor over with my breakover bar just so I could run the valve. And so, like, I don't know. I don't even remember his name. And I'd like, it just like, that's what my point though is. There are so many, that's what this my dad and I are trying to make sure we still go if I can't get the car there. But I don't care if your car is done or not. If you have time off work and you have the funds to make it, you should be there and stuff. And see, that's where this problem is. Like my car, right now, my car, I went with header tubes. When the header tubes come, I got to drive myself to Colorado 10 hours to Brighton Ridge, Colorado. He's the only guy I trust to work on my car. Get it all done, help it get it done, then come back and then go donate nationals. So I have, and this whole, like, I don't have any vacation yet. Actually, I'm glad you changed the schedule. I get my 1 year anniversary of my job and I get my week of vacation. That's how I can go no names and stuff.
Perfect.
So it all works out, but the money, like, I'm going to spend in fuel to go to Colorado and back twice and no names. And it's just, but you know what? It shows you how much it's worth to do it. Like, I am literally doing this. I could just sit out this year, save money up, get my Pro Charger and everything done. But that's how bad I want to be there. Like, I'm just going to put the tunnel ram on it, 2/4. I'm going to do a whole bunch of work that literally after No Name Nationals is all coming off besides the headers, just so I can make it. I mean, that's how much I want to. And if it works out, great. If it don't, like this kid, he's excited as hell about it. Like, he loved it. And he's like, Dad, we got to go. We got to go. Like, he told me I could sell a side-by-side, help fund the race car and this and that. Like, he is ate up with this No Name Nationals as much as me.
It's going to be a neat wild card, though. I mean, because your car, even with everything, doesn't have to be optimal to run a competitive time. So who knows? That's going to be an interesting wild card.
You know, and we're about to find out. Everyone talks about these tires not being good after you set them and this and that. Those tires are not came off that car since No Name Nationals. Like, it's all just there. No Name Nationals. I raced one time after No Name Nationals on a no prep surface. Other than that car has not been touched since No Names. So,
okay.
I really, 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 if I can get time, I don't think I'm going to have time to do it, but I got an extra seat for Dizzy over here. I'm trying to get it so I can get a passenger seat to give him a ride if I can get it all done and stuff. But that's the fun part about this is I'm going to run on alcohol for No Names and stuff just so I can keep it cool. You know, cool down time of the alcohol just naturally cools your stuff down. But I can put 91 octane in this thing and run it and stuff.
Blake is saying, does anyone want to buy a kidney? I got to tell you now, Blake's car is interesting. I can see that one growing into being a really quick car. So we'll see. I know they struggled a little bit with it this spring, that car, Blake's, because they had some old work that kind of came with it when they got it, like the rear end, and then this debacle with the transmission. But I think when they iron that car out, just like the Nacho Cuda, it's quicker than it looks like it should be because it's a seasoned car. They've been building on it so long, and they got all the little things right. And I think when Blake's Orange Dart, when they get it seasoned and they get all the stuff worked out, that's going to wind up being a really quick car. So I'm anxious to see it. So, Punisher Le Mans, you have changed a lot in the off season. What's your program look like for the next 40 days to keep stuff together and get there in one piece?
Man, I'm going to try to stuff the transmission in it next week. Maybe try to get to Mocan and make a pass. I'm bringing a full interior street car and trying to battle in with a bunch of race cars, but we'll see what happens.
Take the interior out.
Nah.
Now, you've already run some quick. I got to say, Ray, I don't know anybody that doesn't say that car's quicker than it looks because you've shown time slips before. That car moves.
It went 649 and a 149 60 foot. I mean, and that was with a crappy turbo 350 and a JEGS converter that wasn't right. I've changed quite a bit of stuff since then. I think it'll run a 599.
Wow.
That's new.
My biggest concern right now is because I bought a used converter. It's a spragless converter. I've never ran one before. And it was set up for a Turbo Nova, which is lighter than my car. So I'm a little concerned how it's going to stall, but the trans brake should make up the difference. One of my fears is because it already wheelies hard. GMA bodies like to wheelie. I'm afraid when I let off trans brake, it's going to put it on the back bumper. I don't really want to do that. But
you have a glide in that thing, or do you have a 3-speed?
It's a turbo 400.
Turbo 400. Oh yeah, yeah. You're definitely going to want to, if you can, leave in second. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can't. The valve body's not, the trans brake's not a second gear trans brake. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're saying that. That's what you're waiting on. I got you.
We'll find out. And I was talking to the guy who built the transmission. I was like, well, what if I short shifted? He goes, you don't want to do that. Because you short shifted, it stays in the power band, then it's going to really, really wheelie. So we'll see what happens. And I've never used a trans brake before, so this is all new territory for me.
Trans brakes are addictive, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
I used my first trans brake a few years ago, and I'm like, oh man, I could so get used to this life.
Yeah,
I love it.
I never had any luck. Sorry,
I got to figure out also because I got 2-step and which to help build boost, and then I got my trans brake. So I got to figure out how to dial that combination in too. So I mean, there's going to be a lot of tuning and stuff. And right now I have it to where when you launch it, it immediately takes timing out of it to keep it from wheeling, and then it puts the timing back in it. And I got it to where it leaves good and it's pretty fast and doesn't wheelie. And I'm trying to bring my A game because I know Patrick's bringing his A game. So, and as much crap as I've talked for the last, 8 months, I gotta be able to back it up now.
I can see Patrick's car getting a lot quicker over time too, because he has pushed the limits of what you can do with a stock block and a lot of turbo, and now he's up in that game. I'm seeing every person who was there last year coming back with a little bit more. It just Andrew Nelson's asking you, Ray, are you still running the LS?
Yes, it's got the turbo 5.3. Right now it's making right at around 720 at the wheels. I did the ET calculator. I don't know how accurate that is, but with the ET and the car's weight and everything, it makes right at about 720 at the wheels.
Great.
They're very accurate.
I'm going to crank up the boost, and I'm going to shoot for 800 and hope at 850. Probably going to run out of fuel system before that, but I'm really, really hoping that it's does what I want it to.
Hey, John, can you show a picture of my car? Because I'll tell you right now, my car is a street car also. Mine's full steel. The only thing fiberglass on it is going to be the hood.
Mine too.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
The Cookie Monster.
Yeah. It's all, I mean,
Blue 66 all steel Dart.
Yeah. 1966 Dodge Dart.
Small block.
Yeah, and that's a factory block too. That's a stock factory block.
You used a 360 block, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Roller lifter, like an 80s?
80. It's an 87 block. I have a Sonic checker, and I fell into that gap where everybody said, oh, you get the early blocks are stronger, the higher nickel. As soon as I got a Sonic checker, the 80s, the late 80s blocks, right before they went into Magnum, are the best 360 blocks.
Yep.
Just hands down. Guaranteed.
See, I'm not a Mopar guy, but I always thought
argue
the Magnum stuff was...
I'd argue that part.
What's that?
I used to run small blocks and stuff all the time. We had mine. Like I actually have a 1970 360 block, so it's actually like the very it's basically a cast out of 3/4. It's one of the very first ones, and we magnet checked it. It's every bit. I mean, like I said, I don't know. It's a three. It just I haven't even checked them. I've been told stories this and that, but 70 through 74, everyone. My buddy runs dirt track. That runs Mopar. Okay. And he has to run a stock block in the class he runs, and he works for Engine Builder, a big one down here. And according to him too, he said that he runs the Mopar stuff. He will argue that fact till he's blue in the face. I can't personally. I just go off what I've been told by him and stuff. And I'm not saying you're wrong and stuff. That's the first time I heard that, so it's kind of a fun. It's not an argument. It'd be kind of a fun discussion to have with somebody that has what you're finding out and what I've been told by something. That's honestly, maybe they're all the same. But
Well, Patrick,
Yeah, because
most
I,
of
I was
the rest, his block Sonic check 375. It has the thickest bores I have ever heard of. It's a rough bore to that, and then you bore it to whatever.
yeah.
That's
See,
Crazy.
I bought a Sonic checker because I was told that the 1970 blocks were, everybody's been told this, that they're cast on 340 cores, so that way when you bore them 30 over, they're still 10 under their starting point. So I got a used Sonic checker from one of those auctions, and at the wrecking yard they would always have those, and I started going through and checking them because you can get those 70 out of trucks, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but then I started checking the 80s blocks and whatnot, and I found that from like 87 to 89 on average on the thrust side, it was about 50,000 thicker than the 70, 71, 72, and 73 and 4.
That's
and
awesome.
then 77 is your most common 360. For whatever reason, 77 to 79, it just seems like they're everywhere. Those on average are the thinnest out of all of them on average.
I would agree with that. That's what I've been told too. Was between after 75 to 79, they were thin. That's what I've been told. Okay, and that's what. Anyways, hey, I'm not disagreeing with you. This is secondhand what I've been told and stuff. But my very first race engine I ever had was a 408. It was 10-to-1 compression, W2 heads, ton ram.
Nice.
And I honestly, that is probably still my favorite thing. It's just so expensive to get them to where they need to be. Like I've had R3 blocks, I've had A8 blocks and this and that, and honestly, there ain't nothing better than a small block. I know that's, a lot of people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but you put W2s, and you work for Elderbrock, and they have some bad-ass new Elderbrock. Well, they came out like 4 years ago, whatever. Those things are bitching. I mean,
Victor heads.
Yes, the Victor heads. Those are
Daniel,
nice.
So one thing I'm curious, when you said you were going to the Hemi, that surprised me because I thought you were going further with the Wedge program. Like I thought you were going. You were already at 540, and I think you were doing a mega block or something. I mean, what was the idea? Where were you going with that? What made you change?
All right, so what my engine was is a Keith Black 6-bolt main water block. It was a 540 cubic inch. It was with Predator heads. It was just it was a great motor. And what happened though was literally, John, what happened was the camshaft went bad.
And the
because the lifter. The lift, and it was so beyond the point of it couldn't even be reground. I thought it was be reground because I was going to go pro charge, so it was going to take. It was like a 970 lift cam overall in the engine. Okay, and so I was like, but going to pro charger, I thought it would be enough to grind down to get rid of, and it wasn't that point. So my buddy that had a complete engine done, he just got done building it completely. I mean, everything brand new billet. They're not even aluminum rods. That's one thing I wish it was, but they're billet Crowler rods. He ordered pistons. He had all this stuff done. He really, really wanted my engine. And I was like, you know what? I want to make no-name nationals. Literally, the only reason I traded, I downgraded blocks. The Keith Black block is the best, and a cast aluminum block from Mopar. And then it goes Bill Mitchell, and then it goes Indy, okay, in the Mopar world, for horsepower rating and stuff. I traded the best block for the not as good block, and I got a Hemi head that's lazier than the Predators, but when you put boost to it, it's better. But I literally did this for sole purpose. The reason I did it was try to make no-name nationals. That is the number one reason. Yeah. And him, my son, my dad. That's what no-name nationals. It isn't just a race. It's a family event. Like my son wants to go. He's going to miss school. My dad, he's off work anyways. But I think this is if it wasn't for it being such a family fun event, I wouldn't give a dang. I would just kept my engine, waited 14 weeks, done what I wanted to, and stuff. But I lost my dry sump system with that engine. Now I'm doing a wet sump. I mean, I downgraded a lot in different ways and upgraded in other ways.
You'll still make more overall power, probably though.
That's the problem with the. So these are a 6-bolt Hemi head, so they only have 6 bolts to hold the intake on because the ports are so big and stuff on them. It's kind of weird because they didn't have room to put the other bolts on the outsides of the ports. But yes, they'll make more power because of cubic inches. But naturally aspirated, those Predator heads, they make more power. Now, when you put boost to it, the Hemi is meant for boost. They are designed. That is because if they don't, you got to turn them 8,500 RPMs to get the airflow, the engine to pump enough to make the heads actually work and stuff. So that's the original question. I'm trying to get off subject here. I do this all the time. The original question is why I went this way. Well, first of all, there ain't nothing cooler than a Hemi. Okay,
Agreed.
ain't nothing better looking cooler than Hemi. Second thing is no name nationals. So that's basically it.
Wow.
So I mean,
Fingers crossed. Let's hope it works out.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
So,
and the only
Ray,
reason,
got a question. Go ahead, Shane.
I was going to say, the only reason why I'm going small block, I'm actually done with all blocks because I couldn't find an R3 block that was worth anything or whatever. I'm using this block and doing what I'm doing. I'm going to go Gen 3 Hemi because they have better blocks, they have better heads, and you get all the good stuff. Yeah, and and a small block Mopar with a factory block, even though you concrete them and you put the Milodon caps on them with the splayed bolts, at 700 horse, it's a ticking time bomb. Literally, it's 2 years, and then you're going to have a problem with the block. And I've been racing this car since the early 2000s, and I've probably put 10 engine blocks in it because every 2 years I'll crack something somewhere, and that's the reason why I got the Sonic Checker, was just so what am I doing wrong? And it's just an inherent flaw with the block. They're just not designed to handle that kind of power.
Andrew,
you got to think about. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Andrew's got a question on rods, and we'll grab something else. But go ahead, Daniel.
No, what he was saying, like that's the same price. I've had, like I said, R3 blocks, AA blocks. Those are all aftermarket Luna 1 steel, and they're hard to get. But like Gen 3 is such a great thing because they have parts for everything now.
Yep.
And you don't got to spend $3,000 for Hogan to build you an intake that can take boost for your small block. If you wanted to have an intake like you go to Hawley or Edelbrock or Hawley, you can get all that stuff done. Like the Gen 3 is great. But you got to realize in 1970 to 70 or 80s, there's that fuel thing with the max horsepower back then was 500 horsepower, period, from everything.
Yeah.
And now that is just I mean, your 426 Hemi out of a Scat Pack's 500 horsepower almost. I mean, they have these stock blocks back in the day, or we have pushed them way beyond they ever should be.
Yeah.
And stuff. And there's a guy now in Australia, I just saw him. He makes a billet, so he makes like a wedge block, a small block. Okay, he has a billet aluminum piece he makes that goes on the bottom of the. That's like its own main cap, a whole section that goes on the bottom of a small block Mopar now. Wow. That turns it, and it looks like a big block with like the skirting on the side.
Yeah.
And he just showed it was made 975 horsepower to the rear tires, and it's been going for 3 years without breaking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
So why not just go Gen 3?
Yeah, get yourself a BGE block. And that block is the same block they put in the Elephant, the Demon, the Hellcat, and it's the same block as they have in the truck. So it's just a BGE. I got a BGE block sitting out there, and it's got those heads from the factory flow 360 CFM. You do some porting on them, you almost got 400 CFM heads. So it's
a no-brainer nowadays. It's just, do you want that ugly engine? That's the only thing.
You're exactly right.
I'm sorry. In the dirt and round world, there's a guy that actually makes a distributor now that looks like a distributor goes up front to it. It makes it look like an older Hemi style. I don't know if you all seen that or not. Yeah. So you can make them look a little prettier, but I don't understand how you can make a Hemi ugly, but Chrysler has done it. That's right. It's just.
Yeah, with the coils on top of the valve covers, it does make it like not as cool. I agree with that.
And every little bolt and cranny for AC compressor, alternator, belt pitcher, they're spugly in my opinion. But
yeah,
I would agree with that. I think the LA is a much nicer looking engine, but man, it is hard to argue with the numbers that these third gen Hemis are putting. It's just, they're amazing. Ray, what rods are you running in your LS? Grab that for you.
Man, it's pretty much stock. It's Gen 4 rods and flat top pistons, and it's just all stock stuff. Stock heads.
5 with that.
Huh?
You're going to try to run a 5 with that.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
In the LS world with turbos, man, there's guys running mid 4s.
Yep.
Yeah, with his setup. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Bradtree Blake found out his 400 is a cold weather block. That's a score right there.
That's a score.
With the thick main webbing.
Yeah, that's a 900 horsepower block right there. Done.
I see poor boys Brad is saying Mopar Joe Nationals, everyone wants a piece. That is not kidding. And Joe, looks like Joe's in here. So Joe, are you going to get in on the heads up on Saturday too? I'm sure Joe is doing the bracket. That goes without saying. But you going to get in on the Saturday?
Don't bring Michael, Joe. Don't bring Michael. we have a mutual buddy that he has the same heads I have on a 572 69 dart, and he's from Arkansas, and he used to be a bracket racer, and I just heads up, but it's a naturally aspirated engine. I mean, the car is immaculate, and he runs like I think he's got a 506 out of it in a. Like,
wow.
And he's a radio, but you can ask Joe. Joe and him I'm trying to get him to start his own YouTube channel, but he just won't do it.
It's a lot of work.
Bondo Billy's in the house. We'll say hi to him. He's got 2,500 comments to reply to. Hey, Bondo Billy, when you get to 2,500, I'll send you a registration link to give you something different to look at.
Man, that guy's YouTube channel.
Wow. He is on a rocket ship.
That's crazy, man. I started following him, and he didn't have that many, and now I'm like,
yes.
Whoa. Now he's like 100 and some thousand subscribers. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, Bondo Billy, he could have gotten in the No Name 500 this year. And then his channel he literally has grown that fast.
Wow.
I mean,
congratulations.
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know if I'd want that personally. That sounds like a lot of work. You know,
yeah, I tell you,
I have a real job, and this is just fun.
Yeah. If I can get something that will pay for my race fuel, I'd be happy.
Yeah,
I mean that's all I care. But honestly, I went night shift right when I started last September, and I don't get any sleep. It's just taking everything out of me. Me posting videos, like I'm just tired all the time, and it's like, and that's why I'm looking forward to next year. I'm sure John and them are going to change it's going to make me have to make more videos. It's not that I don't like to. It's just like I have to get something to make me commit to do it. And so like the shorts, but I'm hopefully go days here in the next year. I don't have seniority to switch to days, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing's growing. Like John, how many people you got registered already this year?
We should exceed last year without a problem. What I've noticed the difference between last year and this year is last year it was a steady state registration. It was just a steady coming in all year, right? And then a bunch to last minute, which is to be expected. This year we had a huge wave of people trying to be first. Professor P set his alarm clock to try to be first and was 21st. There was a lot of people trying to get in first. Okay, then there was a lull, and it's still been kind of steady, but then now it's really starting to pick up, and I will have a bunch of last minutes. If I were to just add up the people who are already very publicly committed to being there, I'm sure we have more. I just haven't. It's all going to work out. We have plenty of registration. The event should be bigger this year than last.
Yeah,
I mean, that shouldn't be even a question.
I'm just trying to if I can't get my car going, I'm trying to find a buddy let me borrow their car and race for just the bracket. I won't run 2010-5. I just run the bracket racing just to participate. But is there a burnout show this year? I'm sorry, guys. I have not been on this.
So
I just haven't been around.
Junkyard D was asking how many in bracket in 28-10-5. I can tell you 28-10-5 is a 16-car field. $100 buy-in, 16-car field. And the bracket, I don't remember. Joe probably knows better than I do how many people were actually in the bracket last year. Joe probably actually knows the number. I don't know. It was probably 40-some, 50 cars or more in the bracket. Mm-hmm. The Burnout Competition will be at 7 p.m. on Friday, and it promises to be rowdy. It looks to me like everybody is bringing more and gnarlier than last year.
Perfect.
So that's the deal. It'll be under the lights again, and
I'm River Square Body. I'm River Square. Yeah, I'm rooting off Square Body, guys. They should have won last year. Just saying.
Well, I'll tell you what. Now, Chad, I talked to Chad about it. The guys who compete in the classes, sometimes I like to give them a call about certain things as we go forward. And I talked with Chad about some of the stuff related to the competition just here a couple days ago. Because right now I'm getting my reservations in for water barriers and that kind of thing, right? I mean, you have to rent those down there. I cannot bring 80 water barriers from Virginia. That just doesn't happen, right? No. So we're getting set up, but it's going to be a rowdy show.
I'm looking forward to that. That was almost my favorite thing the whole entire time. Like, it was just nighttime. Everything was kind of cooling down. It was just screaming, yelling, talking. And
Well, the
whoever
track
whoever the
staff
judge is, whoever the judge this year, I used to do burnout. That's what got me into engine starting, and then racing. We need to have a judge that watch a little more burnouts. That standing still burnouts are not what win burnout competitions.
No.
Well,
Donuts and spinning outs and this and that. Like, that's just my opinion. Okay, this is my preference. I'm not telling anyone's wrong.
People will choose. The people will choose, but I'll tell you, I've got a new judging format for this year. The people will choose, and they're going to pick a good winner, and that won't be a problem.
Right.
But we're going to have a rowdy burnout competition. One thing I really liked about it, though, that not a lot of people think about, for Friday night, we didn't need any staff there other than a couple people watching the place at the gates and such. But all of the rest of the staff came up to the top end, and they got to just watch and hang out, and said nothing like that ever happened to Jeffers before. So they loved it. They were getting to enjoy it. And I thought that was cool, because we want to give back to those guys. We want to be courteous to them. We want to tip them for their hard work. Did they get an opportunity to watch the burnout competition? I love it. I think it's great. So to me, that was important.
Is the same guy running it?
Same guy meaning what?
The guy that did the starting lines and everything. Like, he was the main guy there at the track.
So Barkley managed the track last year, and this year Dominic Blasco is managing the track because of the sanction change at Jeffers. He's the one who manages the track for Larry Jeffers, the AHRA. And I think that's part of a bigger deal they already had. However, Barkley is still going to be our race director.
Okay.
So he's going to be helping us make sure that this event has what it needs. This event does have special concerns. It's a little bit different than everything else they run there. So
I just hope, because he's talking about his daughter was a hell of a bracket racer. I was hoping she kind of got it. Like I said, I've been out of this YouTube game for a little bit and seen all the videos. I was hoping his daughter was going to get to compete in the bracket race, because he was telling me she was one hell of a racer and stuff out there.
So you know what? They need to make a channel. I think people would love watching it. That whole family would make a great channel.
They would.
Bondo Billy, I see you in the chat. So I know you want to come to No Name Nationals. What are you looking forward to? You looking forward to the bracket and all the bounties, the 28, 10, 5 heads up stuff, the burnout competition, cruising the Lamberts? And I got another thing. I got really close to. I'm about 90% done with this. I can make an announcement on it when I get done. I got to get a few more phone calls back to me, but I got an announcement for next week. Surely I'll have everything I need by Monday or Tuesday at the latest to announce this. But I got a really cool surprise for you guys for next week. So that one, but I wanted to for sure have more than 30 days heads up on it. Wendy will provide flat tire signs. I have no idea why, but.
Well, Punisher, I was thinking about this the other day when I was like, you know what? Your car, like, I was in between 3 names when I got my car about 6-7 years ago. I was either going to be Venom, Batman, or Punisher. And those were the 3. And when I see her, it's like, and the Punisher reason was just because, military, and I used to like that movie, The Punisher, and this and that back in the day. And I'm glad you picked it and I picked what I did, because your car is, I tell you, every time I see that car on YouTube, it's like, that is just one slick car. And I just wish I had a street car that was that fast and that much fun to have like you do.
So, it's definitely fun, man. It gets attention everywhere I go to. Like, just sitting at a stoplight, people just staring over at it and waving at me. And you can't go to a gas station without somebody wanting to talk to you about it.
That's why you have open trailers. All you effers that have got these enclosed trailers, yeah, I get it. But no kids driving down like No Name National. There's like people that go from Florida and this. If you have an open trailer, that just made at least 10 more kids that saw a race car that's in the open, or a drag car, a street car like you got, that makes another kid that wants to do that in 15 years, 10 years from now. That's what I love about street cars, is it keeps kids don't see it. The old street cars. Let me rephrase this: old street cars. And so that gives the kids something to see, and they keep it going for us, the generation to generation. All these tracks are closing down, and I'm not saying it's the reason, because I know it's corporate America part of it, but also everyone's got enclosed trailers now. They don't see these awesome things.
Yes,
and I've had enclosed trailers. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be bad about it, but when you're going on a California or Colorado, all these people come down here, put on an open trailer, let all these, you don't know how many kids are going to see this on the road that's going to continue this sport for us. And this is just something I hate to say. It sounds bad, but I have one of the faster cars. One of the things that need to be in close trails, I need more tools, this and that. But I try to carry my open trail as much as I can for the sole purpose of, you don't know what kid is going to see that and make his day and want to continue it after seeing your car.
I spot on agree with that, Red Beard. I remember as a kid watching all the open trailers rolling into Princeton Dragway, and I'm telling you, it is the coolest thing seeing race cars going by, and you don't get to see that with an enclosed trailer. Enclosed trailers are great. They from a functional standpoint, you can't beat them, but man, seeing those cars in the open is cool going down the road.
You don't know if they're a construction company. You don't know if there's $100,000 car in there. You just don't know. And that's why, like, I just want to, I know it's me nagging now, but I saw a picture of Richard Petty's 71 freaking Super B or whatever it was, whichever one it was, on an open freaking trailer being pulled behind. Okay. Like, not in my life, just pictures of it. That's how, if they could do that back then, we can do it now. So.
Oh, I 100% agree. Like, I've had people drive by me and you have their phone out the window video, and it's just like, oh, that's cool, you know. It's just not something you see every day. I actually let a little kid sit in my car at the gas station, and his mom took pictures of him and stuff. I'm like, maybe he'll be a car guy now. You never know.
I got a question for each of the three of you, but real quick, Bondo Billy says that he likes to tell everybody their car is beautiful. Billy, I dare you to tell me my van is beautiful.
Sexy.
It's free candy, man. It's the free candy van.
Question for each of you. We'll start with Professor P.
Sure.
You all of your cars have a name. And what is the story behind that? How did they get their names?
Okay. Mine was actually named by someone else to my car. The car would change names every time I would change the engine, because I would, like I was telling you, I'd blow up blocks all the time. It just happened. There was a guy, I won't tell his last name, but his name is Lance, and I grew up in a town called Poway, California. And we used to go in front of each other's house, and we'd do burnouts at midnight, and then try to call each other out for street racing, right? When I started dabbling in nitrous and on street racing, and then I was winning a lot of races then, because I learned how to use the nitrous button, and then you basically beat the guy, but you don't annihilate him. And so then I would go to the next guy, and then I'd go to the next fastest guy, and then pretty soon I was stealing all their cookies. So Lance came up one day and he goes, dude, and it's blue, my car's blue, so they call it the Cookie Monster. It's the Cookie Monster. Yeah.
I like that. That's a great name.
Yeah, and it just stuck. It was just one of those deals, you know. Then the announcer started calling it the Cookie Monster, and then when I was at the track, so it just became the Cookie Monster. That's how someone else named it, and it just stuck.
Ray, how did we Punisher Le Mans just fits you? In fact, I call you Punisher Ray. That's like your distinguish you from anyone else named Ray. How did we get Punisher Le Mans?
Well, I'm a big Punisher fan anyway, like the Marvel character, and he had that GTO in the movie, and I was like, I wanted a 69 GTO, and I obviously couldn't afford one, so I got my Le Mans. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna make my own twist on the Punisher car, and it was multicolored and stuff. So that car is actually painted with Rust-Oleum paint, sprayed through my spray gun, and Logan free-handed that Punisher skull on the hood of my car with a Sharpie. So, and then I made the stainless steel Punisher skull on the grill at work on our laser, and just kind of that's what it came up with. And Dalton had was talking crap on one of those Pontiac sites about my car being LS swap. So he's like, dude, start a YouTube channel and meet me at No Name Nationals. And so that's what happened, and here we are.
Well, to me, Punisher Le Mans, with the skull and the paint and the whole thing is way cooler than any GTO.
I agree.
Yeah, I could never get as excited about a GTO at a car show as I can that Le Mans of yours.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, for real. And by the way, Ray actually won People's Choice with that car last year. Let's not forget that. Mm-hmm. Ray won the People's Choice, the No Name National. So I thought that's voted competition. So Apparently, other
broke
people
it.
agree with me.
I made a half a pass and still won something. I was
People loved
surprised.
it. They loved it. We don't argue with the vote. Redbeard, how do we get the name of your car? And hello, Andy. Andy Wood's in the house.
Well, it started out like I just started naming all my cars because race cars are more of a part of the family than they are just a car. So if you have it, you just call it your demon, or I mean, you just call it, what it is. It doesn't have that family feel to it, Because so, anyways, let's put it this way: I wanted Punisher. I didn't want Batman because the guy I raced with had the Batman, and then I saw Venom, and I was like, you know what? This is more of a freaking parasite than as a family member. And Venom's a Elliot parasite because it's always costing me money, and it's kind of it's a drug in the back of my freaking head that takes over that makes me spend and work on it all the time. And I wanted something that's different. And I didn't know very many Venom things out there. There's a lot of Batman. There's a lot of black cars, just Batman. I just wanted something different, and I wanted something that with the flat black, it would go with flat black, and Venom's black and white. It just kind of fit it. And after I did it and got the sticker finally put on it, it stuck. It was like, this is what it was meant to be. And that's just how it is. And like, honestly, like I said, I'm glad I did do Punisher now because it could be, but it wasn't me. I'm not, when I go to the racetrack, I'm a go getty happy type of guy. I'm like, let's go have some fun. I don't want to be thinking I'm this hard. Not saying you are, Ramon. I ain't this hard ass and this and that. And that people come across when they have that. They have a persona when it comes to it. And I'm Venom's just Venom. So, and he picked it too. This kid right here, he loved Venom. He's not a comic book, but he saw the movie. And he's like, yeah, Dad, that's what we're gonna name it. So that's just kind of how it went for us.
Say hi to Mohawk and New Guy's Garage, his brother New Guy's Guitar. Glad you guys are in here. And New Guy's Guitar, by the way, he's still a handful of subscribers short from taking his checkered flag in the No Name 500. So why don't you go over there and bother him in the comments and crack the whip on him a little because he's close. He can do it.
What's it
He
called
needs
again?
to get after his brother with his brother's big channel to help him out. He's close.
What's it called? New Guy's Guitar?
New Guy's Guitar. And he says when he gets his 500 subs and comes to the No Name Nationals, he wants to race a U-Haul. So I'm really wanting to see that. Andrew Nelson says, love the car, Redbeard. I got to tell you, Andrew Nelson, when we were at No Name Nationals last year, he said to me, that Venom right there, that car, he says, like, that's a threat. That car can do some stuff. I'm like, yes, it can.
That car,
yes, it did.
It just looks wicked sitting there, man. You didn't even have to, and when you started it up, I was like, oh, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it runs again, guys. I mean, I appreciate all this. I'm one of those people that I like people to say, "Hey, you need to do this, you need this." Because everyone, like I appreciate everyone commenting saying, "Thanks, nice car," and this and that. But I enjoy more the criticism. Hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Because there's always another point of view that I'm not artistic, and I see people say, "Hey, this is like I want to take." It's not criticism; it's productive criticism. And like, hey, why don't you try this? Like, if somebody, that's why I want people to see my videos. That's why I like posting it. Hey, your car would do better if you change the bar this way. You change it this way. Hey, why don't you try? Like, I'm about to jump in the world of electronic fuel injection eventually and cool on plugs and things. I am very, very ignorant. I'm ignorant with. Okay, and that's why this YouTube thing I'm looking forward to. Like, I'm gonna put on there comment, tell me what I'm doing wrong, and then I'll try it out.
Yeah.
Because you guys that run LSs with turbos, I mean, you have a computer, this and that. I have a 780-3 box in mine that I don't even know how to change the chip in. Okay, I am so electronically ignorant, and I'm about to go cool on plugs, and it's just not before No Name Nationals. I'm not, but it's just I'm looking forward to this, like the criticism and the advice people give me, because I'm going to screw some stuff up. Let's be honest.
Well, this is kind of gives a segue to a question for all of you guys. So, obviously, people who run in a heads-up small tire class are obviously wired to want to go fast, right? Mm-hmm. You can run the bracket in a car that runs 17 seconds in the quarter mile all day. And some people don't want to go fast. They just like the consistency. They like being on the track. And that's great. That's fine. Whatever you want to do, right? But you guys clearly are wired to want to go fast. Yeah. How fast do you ever want to go? Like, do you have a personal ET goal that at some time in the future, maybe even a car you don't already own, that you want to run?
I do. I want to be the last one to talk, so I always talk.
All right.
All right, I'll actually. I just want to for me, at least right now, my goal is when I go to the Gen 3 Hemi in it, because this engine combination is only for this No Name National, but the car is going to be just an 850 drag and drive car, so that way if I can consistently run an 850 and drive a whole week on it, that's my goal. I don't want anything. I want a car that I don't have to put a funny car cage in. So 850 is my limit.
Okay. Have you ever run an 850 before?
Oh yeah, I'm certified to 650. I'm licensed to 650.
Do you want to mention what your best ET in your life is in anything?
650. Well,
really? Okay.
Yeah, 650.
Man, that's cooking. Gosh, what was that in?
It was in a Corvette, but it's like a roadster looking thing.
Okay. Wow.
But it basically it's a tube chassis with a fiberglass body sitting on top of it.
Man, neat. Yeah. What about you, Ray?
Right now, I just want to dip into the 5s. I'm actually just going to start running 8th mile stuff. I'm going to quit trying to run quarter. Man, that quarter mile is too hard on crap.
It is.
And once you get to that level, you're looking 150 plus miles an hour, and then you got to add a chute. And I don't want to do all that. I have a street car, but I can tell you I went 138, and I need to upgrade my brakes. Daniel's been out at Mocan. That you run out of shutdown room real fast, and that field at the other side of it starts coming up. You're like, that last exit's, where it's at. So I don't really have a desire to go like stupid fast. Mid 5s. I would like to do the drag and drive event next year. Thinking about building the S10 for that, just because it's newer and lighter and that kind of stuff. But then again, there's 500 S10s in that race, so I'm probably the one on.
So Andrew Nelson's saying he wants to do 200 in a drag and drive car in the quarter. Wow. He said 150 can hurt when things go bad. Just saying. I will say, so the panel here, while there's lots of guys who will be in the 28-10-5, I try to spread it around. And Andrew Nelson's going to be live on the show here in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to have Andrew and Calvin Nelson. And, you'll see different people throughout the year, different things. So I figured this was a good panel for tonight because all these guys have got quicker cars in the field. Andy is saying his goal is 200.
Man, that's moving. I wouldn't mind doing that on like the salt flats. I kind of have a desire to build a salt flat car or the standing mile. Yeah. But I just don't want to do it on a quarter mile racetrack. There's just too much stuff that can go wrong, and I don't feel like dealing with that.
And Andy's saying that he wants to do 200 in a FED, front engine dragster.
Yes.
That's
heck yes. Heck yes.
Fun. I don't know. I'd kind of like to do it. I'd kind of like to.
The 8 3/4 right beneath your balls, warming them up. Yes, sir. At 200 miles an hour, you know where that gear's going.
Right.
So, Red Deer, what is your personal ET goal? What are you thinking?
Let's be realistic, guys. Anyone that's got the drug, like we all kind of do, maybe I'm a little younger, so I'm a little more irresponsible than some, but I started out in a 13-second car my buddy let me borrow, and then I went to a front engine dragster with 392. That was 11, and every time I always thought, man, if I could just get a 10-second car, I'll be happy. Man, if I could just get a 9-second car, I'll be happy. Now, if I get an 8-second car, I'm there. So now, like everyone's saying, they're like, I'm done with, like, I'm kind of getting out of the quarter mile theme as well. Like, we're all kind of migrating. First of all, it's so expensive to keep it up because of the wear and tear. And when you wreck at that higher speed, and you're going to hurt yourself. Now, honestly, like, I want to say $399 would be my ultimate goal. If it's not my car. But I mean, let's be real. I'm trying to get a 4-second pass right now, and once I get that 490s, it's going to be a 470. Then it's going to be a 450, and then it's going to be a 4. That's what the goal. That's what if I wasn't that way, Venom would still be just an 11-second car a long time ago, and I'd just be happy bracket racing it. All the old time guys that got me into let me borrow their cars to get me into drug, get me racing and stuff. They're all like, "Why do you gotta go so fast?" I said, "Because you mother effers got me to try this out one time, and I got addicted to it." And so, in all honesty, there isn't. But like the drag and drive, that's my goal. I have a '57 Plymouth Belvedere, that two-door hardtop. That was my great grandpa's car. Then it was my grandpa's. Then it was my dad's. Now it's mine. It's all steel car, and I want to build a Gen 3 twin turbo, all under the hood. And I would love to go 150 miles an hour in the quarter mile with that car.
Yep.
And all steel, but let's be realistic. You go that fast, you got to spend money on the cage. You got to spend money on the chassis. You're talking about $200,000 car now to go that fast these days, legally. And will I have $200,000 in the car ever? I pray to God I don't.
But I will say, things happen, go sideways, and that safety equipment shows every ounce of its value. Andrew Nelson can tell you about that, and he actually will tell you about that in 2 weeks. But you talk about faster. So I know a guy who used to run a Nova that would run mid-7s in the 8th, and then he went to a quicker car. He had a Cavalier Coupe that would run mid-4s on nitro, and then he had a Pro Mod, and now he runs a Top Fuel dragster, Matt Hagan. Yep. See, I remember when he started, when he was screwing around with his late 70s Nova with a 350 in his driveway, right? When he's a teenager. And he only lives about 5 miles from me. And I'm going to ask him if he wants to be on the show sometime in the off season and just talk about the progression of going from a car that runs 780s in the 8th to something that runs in the 3s at 1,000 feet.
That'd be crazy. That's just nitromethane so fun.
I just can't even imagine accelerating that fast. There's got to be new things, new levels of crazy that you feel going that fast. I can't imagine. There can't be any way to describe it.
I don't know how they steer them. You actually watch them steer the car. It's like, how do you know where you're doing with that car going that? But the vibration, you can't see nothing. My eyes would be in the back of my head shaking.
It's funny you mention that because somebody actually asked Frank Hawley that when I was down there. And he said the downforce on that body of the funny car is so great that he said it's actually hard to steer it off course with the wheel. That's why you see people so violently steering it. You would think they were steering it so hard they'd wreck it. But that's not the case. He said the downforce on the car is what makes it want to go straight. I don't know. I've never experienced that, just what I was told.
Well, not very many people have experienced that.
No, not many in the world.
So one cool thing is I got this Samsung TV. It's a big 80-inch TV I just got. And it's got TV channels on, like from the internet. And it's got the drag racing only all day long. That's all it shows. And it shows all these old clips from NHAR. Like I'm talking about like the 60s. The next thing you know, later on, you might find it 80s. And you might see it 60s again. Up to you see the progression of what these cars have done over the years. It is incredible. I mean, like technology, like you see when they had a what was those things called? It was a computer box. Those things were back in the late 70s. They came out, early 80s. Like you wouldn't realize they looked like a big ass computer, like a whole battery and this and that all sitting there. But it's like, wow, this stuff started way back then. When they went from a single distributor to 2 distributors. They went from the funny car, the downforce on the funny car to what the dragsters used to be. The progression of drag racing has gotten so crazy and fun to watch. If you guys, I'm younger, okay, I didn't get to see all this stuff, but when you see you get to see all this stuff from way back when and what it came from then to now. I wish it'd go back to then though, when you guys, Joe Blow, like you and I, all 4 of us, all 5 of us could put a car together and still compete in an NHR drag car.
They actually have that. They have that in Southern California. It's called the Heritage Series, and so it's a single mag type of deal. So where you're not running the dual mags. Now, it's still expensive, but you're running in the 5s or 6s. I think is what they are in the quarter mile at the March meet. But yeah, it's called the NHRA Heritage Series, and that's what I started racing in because I was just getting bored of all the bracket racing.
Yeah, well, to me, you guys are lucky. I wish I could have been raised that time.
One thing I'll mention to Billy here. Billy has mentioned this before on videos that he's losing his sight, and he said it's costing being able to drive at night, and it's just making it hard to drive. But Billy, I will tell you, if you want to take a ride in a car at No Name Nationals, you can probably get to have a fun, safe ride with somebody. We'll make sure to loan you a helmet, what you need, but if you want to do that, we can certainly make that happen. Just saying. Yeah, because Andy's saying don't load up the bed with spare parts, and when Andy goes to the track, he takes 1,000 pounds worth of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So speaking of that, what do you guys? So what does your loadout look like? Because again, fast cars are a little different than bringing a car that say runs 9s in the 8th. What does your load look like that you load up and take? I mean, obviously it's more than just hand tools. You got to have parts and so forth. What's that look like for each of you? We'll start with Ray this time.
I really just try to throw in anything I think I might break or might need that I have on hand, and then all the tools. I've had my car parts so many times, I know what tools I need.
Yeah.
And then floor jack, stuff like that, my laptop. I really don't bring a lot. That's the great thing about an LS is if I do break something, I can go to the ditch and pick up parts. So you Mopar guys are kind of SOL in that territory.
Gen 3 Hemi, not really.
No.
Now that's the LS of the Hemi world or the Mopar world, isn't it? The Gen 3.
Yes. It's very modular. Yep.
Just boring her. Just fine.
So Ray just knows about what he needs. Professor P, what does your load up look like? What do you take? I know I know that for your commuter car, you have the crate in the back and you have the belt and all that standard stuff, right?
Yep.
But you got to have something like that for your race car. What would it be?
I'm with Punisher on this one. I've had it apart so many times. I have a crash box that I know exactly what I need for each part, each tool, because I've had the thing for so long. A couple sets of plugs. For me, it's going to be extra nitrous bottles. I got a couple extra 15-pound bottles. I'm actually bringing 3, and then extra. All the stuff that's failed, a solenoid for the trans brake. I bring definitely an extra one of those because I've had that in the finals before. And then just extra gaskets, and that's really basically it. Because you have a box. You've worked on the thing so much that you already know exactly kind of head gaskets and so on and so forth. Extra carburetor, but that's really it.
Okay. All right, Richard.
Do you want me to make this quick?
Up to you.
All right. Well, here, guys, I'm gonna just do this for shits and giggles. So I kind of got this already set up from last year. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me change the camera forward. Let's see here. All right. So here's the pack out block. This was the best thing I ever bought for racing. So the first part of it, let's see here, would be AM fittings, spark plugs, more AM fittings, fuel lines, spark plugs, earplugs. Number one thing you need. Fuel injection nozzle, your tool to run your valves. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. More fittings, tees. You never know when you're going to have fuel problems. And you have to have this. You have to have a pit manager. This is number one right here, guys. This is, if you don't have this guy to grab your stuff for you, you never get anything done. Let's see what's in this box here. And then we got tools, grinder, extra fuel pumps, duct tape. Number one thing, duct tape. Coils. Starters. I don't know how many times I've had the starters stop working on the track and stuff. It's the most inconvenient time. What else we got in here? That's just the regular Joe Blow stuff. Air gauge, Allen wrenches, O-ring, more fuel lines, torque wrench, extra piston. Let's be realistic here. You can never have enough. That's for me. I can't imagine you all driving 6 hours and not having everything you need just to make you can do another thing. So, jacks, jack stands, golf cart. It just depends on what you're doing. So when you get to this racing category, I've been at the track numerous times, and then I didn't have a starter one time. You know how easy a starter is to replace on a Mopar? It is easy. And if you don't, to me, if you don't have headers in the way, I get it. There's some headers. My point though is, if you get it started, you make the next bracket racing. You make it next round, and you don't have next starter. You just lost all that money and time to get down there. All for $100. I run $100 starter on a 16-to-1 compression motor, and it still has never failed on me. It is literally just Power Master or whatever one of those cheap $119 starters are, and it has never failed. But I still have an extra one with me. I have an extra, like you said, coil, not coil, but like this little wire fuses. I don't know how many times you pop a fuse, you can't find a fuse. I luckily had an older truck. I still had the bigger fuses. I came to my truck. I pulled out, opened the hood, took the fuse out, put it in my race car just so I could race one time. And thank God I didn't pop because I wouldn't have started my truck to get home.
Andrew Nelson says the farther from home, the more parts you take with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And that's just part of it. I mean, you just never know what you're going to need. Like, how many times have you had a coil fail? And you're like, electrical parts are the number one thing to me that fail.
Yep.
And they're a ticking time bomb.
Well, I think it's interesting that now we have all these cars that shut off at intersections and restart when they pull out. I look for a wave of starter failures coming from this.
Yeah.
I'll probably never own anything like that. So, Twisted Mopar Garage is listening in on the drive. Thanks for doing that. Just Mopar Joe, what do you think of all of this? So, we all know you're a threat in the bracket. Are you going to have some fun in heads up this year? If you did respond, I just was asking. There's no bounty on you that I know of yet in that, but it's all fun stuff.
What's the bounty at? I've been so out of this. What's the bounty on?
I think you can. There's up to $420, I believe, from different people, depending on if you're running their channel sticker and their parts in the transmission. But yeah, there are 3 or 4 different bounties that total up to be the first person to take out Joe in the bracket. So if you want to put Venom in the bracket, you can certainly do that.
Dude, I might have to just get some testing. I tell you right now, if I told my dad this, and this sounds, you guys are going to think I'm stupid, but if the 10.5 class was after the before the burnout contest, then it would be in the burnout contest. I tell you, I know that's stupid. Okay, that's my first love. Burnouts were my first love.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's what gets every boy. I mean, don't get me wrong. People think they're stupid, but a lot of people do. But most car guys' first love and got them into burnout racing was burnouts and stuff. I mean, the burnout was the funnest thing to me in the world when I was a kid. That's the coolest part of it. Watching go straight down the track, I didn't really care. But seeing them do a burnout all the way, to the 8th mile, that's the cool stuff. And the backup girl doing this, and you really don't give a crap where your arms are going. You're watching your legs and this and that. I mean, that's the fun part. I just like I said, if the 10.5 was before the burnout, I probably would enter Venom in the burnout. Just saying. So.
That's why I'm getting into the autocross stuff, because like drag racing's fun, but I want to branch out and do other stuff too. Like I'd really like to try drifting. I don't know if I could do it. I race dirt track, so I think I could, but
yeah. Now I don't know. You pretty much have to have a manual for that all the time, though, don't you? I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but pop the clutch, ride the clutch all the way around the sides. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I did a lot of drifting. Believe it or not, I hate to say this, I used to have a Mustang right outside of high school I bought. And, I mean, it was one of those moments I didn't know how to identify myself. So, but.
That's funny.
Yeah, I drove a Mustang in high school, too. I had an 86 T-top GT, and I wish I had that now. But.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I mean, don't get me wrong. Every car has its place.
Curious. So you guys have all built fast cars, faster than what people drive on average in general. Do you have any advice or anything you do differently on your path to building your cars? What would it be? Let's say that somebody has a car that runs 750 in the 8th mile, and they want to take that car down to a 6.0 or so. And they know that's going to involve making some decisions and either or and spending some money and a real plan to do it. What would you recommend to them?
I would start off with a decent rolling chassis, something that's better than a 66 Dodge Dart where there's no parts for it.
So when you say that, John, are you saying that it had to be, what I would say is just get a different car that's already done. It's cheaper and faster to go. But if you're dedicated to using that one car that you have, and you want to do that to that car, the first thing I would do is probably go with a modern engine. Like get rid of the older stuff, get rid of the modern one for reliability and parts availability. I hate to say it, like your LS, the Gen 3, the Coyote motors. I mean, those Coyote motors are some bad son of a guns and stuff. I mean, honestly, if you go from a 304, a 304, a 302, a 360, a 350, and you put an LS or you put a Coyote or you put a Gen 3, you're already going to pick up half a second. I mean, in this nature. I mean, you are. So there it is. And then all you do is from all three of those engines, you put a power adder of any sort, you're going to get there to your 6.0s. Mm-hmm. That has got to be the cheapest, most financially best decision you'll make, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So,
okay.
I say come up with a game plan. Like, do your research and then come up with a game plan. There's a lot of guys that just start buying parts, and that's what I did in my car when I first started. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just started buying parts. Everything was mismatched, and the car was fun, but I had a lot of problems with it. There's certain parts you can cheap out on, but look for deals on quality parts instead of buying that cheap part, like the Chinese turbo. I would try to find a used like precision turbo, or like somebody's always upgrading, so somebody's got something for sale. So that would be me. I would kind of do, because I mean, let's face it, there's a recipe out there for just about anything. Like, you guys run Mopar. I mean, you get on Mopar forums, I'm sure somebody could tell you, hey, this is what you need to run 6s with a Gen 3 Hemi. This is what you need to run, go fast with an LS or a Coyote. And like Daniel said, though, I mean, really, it does not take much. Look at mine. My car, my motor is literally bone stock, except for it has head studs, it has BTR head gaskets, and it has a Tick Stage 2 turbo cam kit and hardened push rods. Other than that, it's a bone stock LS.
And the sky's the limit once you can do it. Like, once you get the Hemi or the Gen 3 Hemi or LS, like, you change the rods, you got the base there, you got the headers made, you got your turbo headers already made, it's already there. So later on in life, when you get more money, you want to go like every one, the Coyote, the LS, and the Hemi. After you soup them up enough, you can go from a 6.0, then you want to go fast like I did. You'd be a 470 on any one of those once you get eventually there. You can get there with a turbo. It's just buy modern engines, because they have cross bolt mains. They have way better. You build your house on a rock, right? So you build your engine on a good foundation. Your block is the first thing you need to spend your money on, and the new engines are stout.
And the modern castings are just unbeatable. Hey, is that Cash?
That's Cashy Foo.
How you doing? He looks so much like my dog, it's uncanny. He looks like my Jethro a lot.
Yeah, he's my little baby boy. Well, it's actually his baby boy.
Does he go nuts over motorcycles, or is he
no,
good with
he don't mind. No fire. Like, I didn't like fireworks. Like, where we moved to, there's a big fireworks show. Like, nothing bugs him. Like,
wow.
His biggest thing is, like, if I say it right now, I'm not going to say that G word and the R word. If you say that, he loses his crap. Yep. He just loves to do those things. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, question for you guys. And by the way, I want to say hi to First Responder Garage. Thumper sneaked in here. Clint Street Machines. Appreciate all you guys coming in. Would any of you guys ever be interested in trying ice racing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't even have to ask Shane. I mean, that just seems like something he would be all. Shane would build a car just to ice race.
Well, I like what Punisher's doing is that I have a '68 Dart, and that's going to be my road racing car, or like cone dodging type of deal. And I was thinking about, I was like, man, I could put some studs on that thing and go up north and put that on the ice. And I've always wanted to do that. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I never saw it until I watched that the Roadkill episode when they did it or whatever, and it's like instant traction. I mean, the biggest thing about what we do on 2810.5s is try to find traction. It's the challenge, and that one is I can't believe, like, you wouldn't think they'd have traction, but they just have it and stuff. I mean, yes, John, that would be a blast. Besides the cold weather, yes.
I wouldn't rule it out. You never know. We might put together an ice racing party sometime. I mean, you never know. You never know what the future holds. Sounds like fun. Anyone else that wants to try some ice racing? What kind of racing have you never tried, other than ice racing? What kind of racing have you guys never tried that you might want to, like in some different discipline, some different thing? Like, what would it be? Something different, crazy?
Jet boats.
Jet
Not
boat.
not the ones like the ones up north in Washington area. Like they're like 2 foot of water and they go around those tracks. Okay, like they're like not even a track. Like the zigzag is just like a whole bunch of little piles of dirt in between the thing. And the reason is the funnest thing about drag racing is the 60-foot, right? The 60, the hit, the hit of it, the throwing yourself in the seat. Well, those jet boats have all the traction, not traction, but they have no like where you pointed, they go. Mm-hmm. And I watched that. There's more G's and more of that in that racing that looks like the funnest thing in the world to do. Besides trying to figure out where you're supposed to go, other than that, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So.
What about you, Professor P?
I don't know. I've done a lot of motorcycle racing. I've had a jet boat. I've had all that kind of stuff. I would, someone actually beat me to it. I would definitely do some air racing. I had a pilot's license for a while, and I've always wanted to go up to the Reno and race, like a P-51 Mustang or something, or, that would be fun.
That would be.
Interesting. Interesting. What about you, Ray?
I'd like to do the either Bonneville Salt Flats or like the Standing Mile, the Texas Standing Mile. That looks pretty fun to me.
Yeah.
And I'm an off-road guy too. I used to be really big into rock crawling, did rock crawling competitions and stuff. I think it'd be kind of cool to do that King of the Hammers too, but my body won't work with me no more, but it looks fun.
You know what I think would be a blast, just looks like a blast, is that swamp buggy racing.
Yeah.
They do in Florida on the racing game. That looks like a barrel of fun. Yeah, Joe says they have a Standing Mile in Arkansas. Yes, they do. And Junk Car Willie goes out and covers it.
What do you have to gear rate your car for a Standing Mile? I wonder. What your gear ratio would have to be? That would just be. I know you have to figure out what your horsepower is, your mile an hour you're going for, but what would you like? What are the gears like? 210s, 230s, in those things?
So you'd be in the high 2s.
Yeah.
That just seems.
And Andrew Nelson, you've done land speed. What kind of gearing? It's a great question.
And if you go with like a TR60 66 speed, you got a double overdrive because your final drive's like 0.7 something. So
they're all manuals, direct drive almost, so you don't lose the power. I get that, so that makes sense. Yeah, that's saying depends on what your combination would be. I guess that's a really big factor and stuff. What your transmission is. So
now talk about tuning. If we go from street and we go to track. On you guys' cars, like doing 28, 10, 5 stuff, what kind of tuning changes have you done? And I know Punisher Ray, you drive yours on the street in videos all the time. We see you out driving around everywhere in it. But what changes do each of you have to make if you were to go from street to race? And if your car is not still a street car, tell us what changes you made permanent to go that way. We'll start with you, Ray, because you drive yours still.
Honestly, I just don't do anything when I street drive it. It's the same tune on the street, and I'll turn my boost controller off and I'll run wastegate spring. So I have a 7-pound spring in it, so it'll only make 7 pounds. And when I go to the track, I'll put a second spring in it, turn my wastegate on, or turn my boost controller on, so I can double that. So I could run like 28 pounds of boost. I won't because it'll blow up. But so really, I don't really do it. I have a street.
Wheels and tires? What about just wheels and tires? What do you run on the street versus the track?
Oh, I run a 28-10-5 slick on the track. I've tried the drag radial thing too, but I tell you what, they're so expensive and they do not last very long at all. But on the street, I run Mickey Thompson street comp tires. They're actually really sticky. My car actually hooks up fairly good on the street. So, but being a street car, it's different. When I go to the track, though, it's as the weather changes, like a turbo car, when it starts getting cooler, the car's going to go faster.
Yeah.
So, you can, when it gets cooler, I can add a little more timing to it and just try to go faster later at night. But you got to remember to take all that back out of it, because if it gets hot again, you're going to run lean. Well, lean and boost are not good friends.
As for the gear ratio question, Andrew Nelson's saying that he runs between a 3 and a 325, and in the mile and a half, he runs between a 286 and a 291.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But he says his new car will be running in overdrive.
Man, to me, that's just crazy. I mean, it would be fun to go out there, but me and my pale skin and stuff, I would be so burnt watching that race. The salt flats. Not staying mile, but the salt flats. I want to. That's on my bucket list to go do that one time in Utah. But,
well, Professor P, so to go from the street to the track, so does Cookie Monster, is it going to see any street action? We know it used to. Is it going to see any again?
Not with the glide setup in it. I'm not going to. I mean, you could. I mean, I typically start out in second gear on my 904 anyways, but I'm going to be locking out my distributor on this one, and it's going to be crank triggered because especially when you're running nitrous, you don't want to have the timing events in the back of the cam because you're going to it's erratic. So whenever I run nitrous, especially the amount I'm going to run, it's going to be on a crank trigger, and it's going to be essentially locked out. So it's just going to be on MSD. So it's really not going to have much street capabilities with this amount of nitrous. I'm not going to. Yeah.
Okay. So you've kind of reached past that point where the car doesn't do good dual purpose anymore unless you were to make some changes.
Well, this setup is only for no-name nationals. This setup is only for this, but normally I just lock out the distributor. It's got an MSD on it. You can just turn it around and lock it out, and it's good to go. Most of the time, it's just naturally aspirated, and it's a street car. It's a street car.
So Redbeard, same question for you. How long has it been since Venom's been on the street? Is it a street car? Are you going to do street stuff with it?
Yes. No. Yes. The deal is, I promise, I got it, didn't have a VIN number, and I'm from Mexico, so I'm gonna find me a VIN number and title that matches.
Daniel, you're losing audio on you, buddy.
Can you hear me?
Well, no, we lost some audio on you there for a second.
You can hear me now?
A little better, yeah.
I said, yeah, it will be eventually. I gotta say I'm from Mexico and get a VIN number for it and a title. Doesn't have those two things, so I got it already.
We're losing audio on you, but it sounds like you want to get Venom to the street.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you good now.
Hello? Turn yours off.
Yeah, I can hear you good now.
Hold on.
He passed out.
While he's working on his audio, I'll say this. So Dust Devil Brian, who has he has a show. He has a live on Saturday nights. He's been asking his guests a question: what is a street car? And my definition. Hey, Redbeard, we'll come right back. We can hear you good though.
They died.
We'll come back. We can hear you. One of the questions Brian's been asking everybody is, what is a street car? And he likes my definition, which is it has to be able. You have to do street stuff with it in the state in which it lives. So in other words, not a car that you do all this stuff to so it will go out on the street. Because at that point, how is that any different from your street car that you do a bunch of stuff to take to the track, right? Mm-hmm. So it's got to be a car that does street stuff in its natural state. And that's a street car. Doesn't matter how wild it is. Doesn't matter anything really. If you drive it on the street, it is a street car.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you good.
Sorry. Okay. My earpiece must have died. Sorry.
So what are your street plans with the Venom?
Like I said, I got to get when I bought it, didn't have a VIN number because they took the dash out. So I got to get a VIN and a title for it, or get a builder's title for it. And then it's going to be headlights. Like, honestly, I'll probably end up going back to a steel front clip for it eventually, and just put a steel front clip and just have, like I said, fiberglass hood on it. That's about it. And that's bad. I mean, it's going to be a gutted out car still, but just I'm going to have a little button that I click this with the left turn signal and click that turn signal and push a button for the foot brake. It's going to be always pretty much a race car, but now I got a pump wheel motor in it. I want to do drag and drive. That's my ending goal. But most of the drag and drives that we both just talked about they're quarter mile. Almost every drag and drive is a quarter mile. I don't know of one that's not a quarter mile. And then that changes everything. You got to change your gear ratio. You got to change everything on your car when you go to that. And so realistically, Venom is going to be tagged and licensed, but it's mostly just in case I do street racing that I'm getting into more. And when I get it gets impounded, I can get it back out. That's kind of the whole deal. If you don't have a VIN number or something on it, you probably can get it back out of it. So
I don't even know exactly what in your car. Is it a 71?
71. 71. And
It's demon, right?
it's a demon. It's a demon. And that's where I'm at. Like, I can't, they only made 2 years. So trying to find a VIN number for that used, it's not legal, but, find one used and this and that, it's almost impossible. So, like, honestly, it might become a duster before long. It's going to be a demon, but it's going to be a duster.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know. I just knew it was one of those 108-inch wheelbase fuselage A-bodies. I didn't know which one. Because when you're a real car guy, how much does that even matter, right?
And to be honest with you,
it's important in them.
To be honest with you, the funny thing is, that is my second least favorite A-body. Like, I really don't. Like, my favorite A-body is 67 to 69 Dart, then 67 to 69 Barracuda, fastback, not notchback, and then a demon, then a duster. I mean, that's the order. And people are like, "Oh, I love your car." I'm like, "Yeah, I like yours better. It's a Dart."
Professor D and I are in complete agreement on this. 68 Dart is the right answer.
King of all bikes.
It is the right answer.
67 is the right answer because they don't have they don't have in 68 the government made them put braces in the door and they're all heavier. 68 and 67 is the lightest car you can buy for a race car if you keep the steel doors and stuff because they don't have all the safety features. I'm just saying for a race car.
Check this out. So 67 didn't have marker lights, but if you just leave the marker lights out, the fender is lighter by a hole. I mean, I wouldn't care. That stuff like that doesn't bother me in the least. I could run an open hole for a marker light forever and never care. Not even when the 100th person told me, "Hey, a light's supposed to go." I just absolutely wouldn't care. I'd probably put a little sign in the hole, like with number 10 font that they have to get down to see that says, "I don't care. I know the light's missing." Just so some kind of car show would be disturbed by it.
That's awesome.
Guys, we got just a few minutes left. I've had a blast getting to talk to the guys running Heads Up on Saturday. This has just been a hoot. Any of you guys have any specific questions for them? This is a treat to get these three together. I don't think the three of you have ever been on a live together at the same time ever, have you? Now, I don't think I've ever seen this combination ever. I have been live with each of you individually, but not this panel. So this is.
And I have a question for Punisher. Real quick before everyone else does. Punisher, sure. How have we lived this close together and never met?
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking too, because I actually lived in Fort Scott. So
I worked there. I worked there for a long time. at Warcraft. I worked at Warcraft machine shop for a long time there. It's just, and I don't know how I never met you. And I just kind of like, it's a small world, and I seen you more in here than ever in person. So it's kind of. And Mocan and this and that. It's like, man, we got to get together one of these times. So,
definitely.
When are you leaving from No Name Nationals? Because I'm just thinking maybe we can make a little car because we're going to go through Joplin and through that area to go to No Names and stuff. Maybe we can just kind of follow each other.
I honestly don't know yet. I'd kind of like to get there Wednesday, but it'll probably honestly be Thursday. I don't know.
Wednesday night is okay if you want to come in and set up. So, and tech will be open from noon to 6 on Thursday. And then tech will reopen all day as needed on Friday and Saturday. But tech will be open from noon to 6 on Thursday. So if you want to not have a line, not be missing out on racing or any of that, noon to 6 on Thursday is a good time to get in on tech.
It would be pretty cool to see Venom and the Punisher car in a line going down the road on trailers.
I agree. I would like to do it.
So, I got a quick question for Professor P. What are the odds that we might ever see Plan Z Dart at a No Name Nationals in the future?
That's going to be there next year. Absolutely.
That would be cool.
And you know what? And the reason why I haven't announced, I mean, I've been talking about the Cookie Monster, but if that didn't make it, that car is really ready to go, and I've got a slant 6 sitting right there. I would throw a slant 6 in that thing. If I have any problems with the Cookie Monster, Plan Z will be at No Name National. So one of the two will be there.
Neat. That sounds like a lot of fun. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. But
I've
I do wanna
enjoyed this panel, though. This has been fun.
I want to answer a question. You did
Sure.
ask, what is a streetcar, right?
Yes, go
Okay.
for it.
All right. So for me, this is what it is, streetcar for me. If you can pull up to a gas station, like any gas station in the state that you're in, and put gas in it and drive away, that is a streetcar in my opinion.
I thought you were going to say if you can put a gas without opening your hood or your trunk or anything like that. That's
Oh, no. If you can put pump gas in it, and well, here's the thing too, is you have to be able to race it on that too. You know what I mean? Like you have to be able to drive it and race it on that fuel. That is considered a streetcar. Now, if you're changing fuels, you know, that's where you kind of draw the line a little bit. But for me, if you can drive up and put fuel in it and then take it out and race it with that fuel, might not go the fastest, but you can still race it. That's considered a streetcar in my book.
I agree and disagree to that. Like, I mean, if you can drive it on the street to the track on pump fuel, we need something else for higher RPMs so you don't spark ping. I think that's still a street car. It's more a street strip car. Okay, let's rephrase that. Street strip. That's what it would be.
So Daniel, if you're going to make a definition of a street car and race car, like a definition, what would it be? And
Pump
what's
fuel?
the definition? What's the definition for where it changes from one to the other? And this is a completely subjective question.
So let's just go. I mean, to make a car go, it's got to have an engine, and if you can't go to, like, say, if you can't drive 100, let's put it this way, if you can't drive, I don't know. Realistically, like I said, my definition of for me would be, I have to be able to drive it from my house. It's an hour and a half from Mocan I can drive from my house to Mocan as a streetcar. It's an hour and a half drive. It's got to at least be able to make an hour and a half drive. It's got to be able. It just has to be. If a car ain't a car, if you can't, I can buy a $300 piece of crap car and drive to Mocan. Still, I mean, it's got to be something you drive 150 miles. Okay, it don't matter how many gas stations you got to stop on to get there, but you have to be able to run pump fuel at least 150 miles without stopping. I mean, that's it. I mean, but that's just saying it's street legal. That's headlights, taillights, you know, all those things.
Yeah.
It don't matter if it's fiberglass or not. I can't stand if you don't. I mean, that's a street car. It's got to have headlights, that's taillights, that's have brake lights, and pump fuel motor. Now, not race pump fuel like he's saying. Like he's saying, like he wants it to be ran on the same fuel you put on at the station. I think as long as you can get to the track, then you get to the track, you can buy 110 or 116 or alcohol, whatever you want to do, and you race on that. Then you go back to your pump fuel to drive it home. That's a street car to me.
Oh no! What I was saying is that you could still make a pass on the pump fuel, but to go faster, you could put the race gas in it. But as long as you could go to the track and make a pass with that fuel in it, not saying the fastest pass, but just a pass, that's considered a street car. But I do agree with you that to go faster and get the RPM, you're going to have a special fuel. But at that point, this way you can go to the track on pump gas and still make a pass. That to me is the definition.
I agree with him.
Well, my definition's changed over the last few years because with the new proliferation of E85, my definition used to be, will it run on pump gas? Pump gas was kind of my dividing line. But see, now the E85 has blurred all of that, and not to mention all of the aluminum heads, the engine management technology, all of that. We've really changed what compression means, pump gas, and all of that's gotten kind of blurred.
That's why I said any gas station, because E85 is not at any gas station.
Not yet. Right.
It just depends on who's in the office. If Democrats in the office, it's out there more. Republicans in the office, there's less of it. Trust me, my small block, I started on the E85, and then they all went away. I used to drive an hour and a half to fill a 55-gallon drum for E85. But now halfway between Mocan and where I live, there's a gas station that has it. It just, to me, that E85 is honestly the best thing that's ever happened for anybody in the performance world. It is. That drives a car. It is. E85 is by far, I mean, it's not the best thing out there, but it's such a happy medium. It's the greatest thing in the world for somebody that has a drag car.
And it's cheap.
real quick, I'll say hi to Ed's machine, but that actually prompts a question I'd love for you guys to answer. If you had to pick, say, and this is for any and all of you, if you had to pick the top 3 biggest game changers that have happened to hot rodding in, say, the last 25, 30 years. Because Professor P and I, we're about the same age, Ray. I think Professor P and Ray and I are all within like 2 years of each other. Daniel's a little younger. But if we were to look at when we first started versus now, let's call it 30 years. What would you say are the 3 biggest changers?
Electronic fuel injection.
CNC ported heads.
I'm kind of torn between like the electronic fuel injection for tunability and like the advancement of turbos and, power adders.
So this is my argument's sake on this. They've always been able to have the fuel management has always been the hindrance of horsepower over the last 15, 20 years. The fuel, because on a street car application turbo, when they finally got the fuel pumps and the injectors that can handle the power, that's when the turbo guys have been able to succeed, because turbo guys never had the fuel consumption they need for the turbos they had. And that's happened in the last 15 years is fuel and coil unplug timing management. That's the 2 things, in my opinion. So
I can agree with that.
Andrew's saying tires and EFI.
Yeah.
Now, so
Tires.
Professor P's got a little different angle on this because, you work in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Professor P? If you had to pick 3 innovations, even if they're tech or not, what would they be?
Yeah, I was thinking for me, it's because I've always been kind of an NA guy, even though I know I'm going to bring nitrous, but for me, it's CNC heads. That's when you being able to have an affordable CNC head for the masses. When I started racing, if you had a W2 head, that was like literally a game changer. But most of the heads I dealt with were like 220 CFM or whatever, and the air was crappy. But having good, consistent, high velocity, good, 350 CFM air, I mean that's easily 700 horsepower right there. So that's there was a time when there was 450 was like a really hopped up engine, but then it became 700 was like the standard. Now it's 1,000 horsepower, and I think that between having affordable high flow heads has allowed that 1,000 horsepower for like people with the LS, where they can put basically a stock block. They get some porting on the heads, and then they do the even on what do they run those, the 040, is it the 040s or what's the good head for the LS? I forget the number on it. But they can just
any of them.
Yeah, but yeah,
There's a lot of truth to that answer, actually.
Yeah, but yeah, you can just port those things, and it's cheap, and then now you're just in the next level of power.
I'm not disagreeing with everything y'all said is a valuable point. If you're talking about NA, then yes, ahead the CNC programs they've had, and they learned that you don't need to port the bottom of the head at all. You just port the top for the airflow to go through it and stuff like that. And in an NA conversation, yes, you are correct, 100%. That is the number one thing. Your heads are your power maker. Your cam has to be with your heads, but like I said, a W2 head was a game changer. That was 100 horsepower bolt on.
Exactly.
Literally a bolt on by moving the rock arm out of the way, push rod. I mean,
exactly.
We just got about a minute and a half left, and we'll go over to Tony's live. But okay, one question for you guys, for each of you: who would be your favorite person to beat in the final of 28-10-5? Daniel, who'd be your favorite? There's one person you'd rather
all of them.
Okay. Any of them.
Honestly, I forgot. I can't remember the cat's name. I'm bad with names, but it's the guy from California. He had that Camaro or whatever, or Trans Am or whatever. Gosh dang it, I'm bad with names. He was the coolest guy.
You talking about Roland?
Yes, Roland, and honestly, I just want to meet up with him, and not because he and I. Honestly, I'm going to rephrase, but he's the number one person I would like to lose to. If I was going to lose to, I would like Roland to win the whole thing if I don't win.
Wow.
Let me rephrase that. And that's simply because when that oil down went down, he was the coolest guy in the world to me. And he said, "Hey, switch me lanes. Don't worry about it because you might not slow down and you're not as fast." He was the most. I met the guy one time. I talked to him one time, and he left an impression on me. And that's the guy I would love to lose to if I was going to lose.
Roland is a class act. I got to tell you. So Sam from White Trash Motorsports has a fast cutlass, and Sam couldn't make the drive. He couldn't physically make the drivers' meeting, and Roland was kind enough to let Sam in instead of just take a bye, knowing that Sam was going to just blast him in the first round. And that's what happened. But if Roland hadn't done that, he would have gone an extra round in 28-10-5 for free. He would have gotten the bye. So just saying, he's a class act. It's the stuff you don't see.
I want to make it very clear.
Punisher Ray, who if you could, there's one person you really want to beat in the finals of 28-10-5, who would it be?
Probably Patrick.
I'd like to see that.
Where's my duck?
Just a turbo A body, Chrysler and GM. I don't know. I just think it's be a pretty wild.
It'd sound good. All right, Professor P.
Who won last year? That's the person. Whoever did it. Oh, he won it? Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. Yeah.
There you go.
That would be 2 A bodies in the final. Would be awesome. 2 Chrysler A bodies.
That would be awesome.
I'd like to see it.
I would too. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
If I get my car going, everyone's got a chance to beat me because we don't know what it's going to do.
Same here, man.
It's either going to set a record or blow up, but it'll do something.
Don't say
right?
that. If I win the destruction trophy, I'm going to be very sad.
Let's hope not. Well, guys, it's been an absolute blast. I've enjoyed having you guys on here. It's just been a lot of fun. You guys have brought some different stuff from different angles. It's been a lot of fun tonight. And but I want to really plug real quick. Tony's got a live. Tony's Hot Rod Garage. He's going live here tonight. Also, next week, a week from tonight, we're going to have Deke, our tech director, Deke Denny. So if you have tech questions, get them written down ahead of time. Bring them to the live a week from tonight. On the 18th, we'll have Deke. And then on the 25th, we're going to have a panel of John Cope, Blake Robinson from Bad Attitude C10, and the Nelsons. And we're going to talk about racing safety from the accident perspective. So we're going to talk about it from the prevention perspective on the 18th and your tech questions. And we're going to talk about it from the accident perspective and what got learned and whatnot on the 25th. So those are 2 lives coming up. And there's a big announcement I almost had done today, but I need a couple people to call me back. And then I'm going to make a big announcement next week. So thank you guys for tuning in. And
thanks, John.
On Tony's Live.
Thanks for having me on, John.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you guys.
It's been
fun. A blast. We'll see y'all next week.
You guys have a good night.
Been fun.